We're ready.
Okay.
Oh my God, we're here at a normal time for once. Oh my God.
I know.
Hello, everyone. Yes, we are here once again for a conversation with Kely. Here to cover the week that was in Big Brother Canada 11. And for once, we're actually on time. I feel like this never happens these days, but we're actually on time for once. We were able to watch both episodes before the Thursday one, take a somewhat accurate amount of notes, and now here we are. Before we do get things started, I am here with my lovely and beautiful co-host, Allie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just enjoying my last day off before I work tomorrow.
Oh my God, I also had the day off.
Woo! Usually I work today in the morning, but obviously since I work Monday, they gave me today off. But other than that, really all I did today was just go for a walk and watch the BB Can episodes and just chill.
Yeah, I really didn't do too much at all. I watched the BB Can episodes with you. I saw another movie that I was kind of underwhelmed by called The Pope's Exorcist. Not really anything special, so we're not really going to get into that. But now we're here, and we're here to cover what I think was a far better week for BB Can than the one we just covered a couple days ago. Crazy thing about we literally just did a podcast for BB Can on Tuesday, and now
I know.
covering this week. But and we're going to be back again a couple more days because spoilers, we'll be back earlier than usual. We'll get into that. Either way, what did you think of this week overall?
Honestly, I thought this week was pretty spicy. Just how there's a divide with people and it's just two different sides because there's the girly pops versus the shady bunch versus the crown and then Santina, who's just kind of in the middle.
Yeah, this is the kind of week that really pisses me off.
And then also Ty is also kind of not really doing much. He's kind of in the middle.
He's in the middle, but not necessarily in a good way. It's
no.
Kind of he's in a position where he should be in a good spot, but because he's Ty, he's not. But yeah, this is one of those weeks for me where I just really wish we had feeds because this is a really exciting week. Kind of feels like a turning point for the game. This is really where things are going to get intense. This is really where we have people turning on each other. I think we're in for a very exciting last few weeks of the game. We're coming up close to the finale.
Yeah.
The finale is literally May 3rd, so
I think they said May 6th or something. I don't know.
May 6th. Hopefully,
I think.
Hopefully it's not May 3rd. That's when Guardians 3 comes out. I don't want to watch BB Can on the same day as Guardians 3.
Right.
Okay. May 6th. That's a Saturday. That's definitely not right.
I only saw it on a tweet, but let me see. Let me go check. I'm just gonna go check on I'm gonna check on that's only what I know from Twitter, but let me check what it says on if it says on Wikipedia.
All right. Well, while she's doing that, yeah, this week was very exciting.
Oh, I don't know. Wikipedia doesn't say.
No, maybe maybe Serialized will say because they have it set up, I think, for the entire season. Yeah, either way, I thought this was a very exciting week. There's a lot to talk about, so we're just going to get right into it, starting off with Tuesday's episode, which I thought really was very exciting to watch. We see Shania is very devastated having to choose between Dan and Claudia. She says that it's going to be really tough for her now. She's going to be gunning for HOH to have power control and to make sure someone she cares doesn't go home this week. And I will say, Shanae has been someone who the entire game I'm like, what is she doing? We're not seeing it. I've jokingly been saying she's playing a winning game and we're just not seeing it. She gets a lot more this week. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, she gets a lot more.
This is the most amount of Shania we've been getting in Big Brother Canada so far, and
right,
not looking great. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
but I like that we did get to see more of her this week. Ty is very surprised that he and Claudia made it through, but he says it was poorly executed by the invisible HOH. He's back for a vengeance, and he made a promise to Dan that he would figure out who knocked him out to get them out next. So Ty is just being his usual cocky self at this point, which is new. Let's talk about Santina. Santina, this is a great week for Santina, let me just say. Not from a game perspective, but like entertainment-wise, I feel like the amount of people that went from being like, I don't like Santina, she's just like catering to the guys and like she's not fun to watch, to now just like absolutely loving Santina. I feel like this week is the big reason why. She was very entertaining this week, I thought.
Oh, she definitely was. I think she's so funny, and she's just such a villain.
Oh, she is.
Like,
She is.
Fun villain.
Yeah, I saw people compare her to like Victoria from BB Can 9. I feel like that's a very accurate comparison.
Yeah.
I will say it's not in terms of HOHs. In terms of HOHs, I think Victoria was way more like cracked and like willing to just kind of speak her mind. Santina's a lot more like standoffish as HOH. So I would say that's where like the comparisons stop. But in terms of like chaos and like how cracked they are, oh yeah, it's a very good comparison for sure. So yeah, Santina says she got a really big target out, but she's on people's radars. So it's really important for her to mend relationships this week, since jury is a huge part of the game and building social connections is the most important. So Renee says that last week she was playing defense because people thought she was the HOH. So now she feels like she's in danger and wants to win HOH this week. She doesn't really care if her arms shred off. She's not letting go. And we get to what the comp is. It is an endurance comp, as we saw. A bunch of people are struggling in the comp because of how slippery it is. And the first person to drop was Daniel, followed by Kuzi, who wins 5,000 Wendy's reward points to add to her round total, which we still have no idea what these points mean, how they factor into anything. It kind of just at this point feels like something they're trying and isn't really going to mean much, but we'll see. Like, I don't know what role this is going to play. I feel like they've every so often been like, oh yeah, the Wendy's points, but like, what is it actually leading to? I have no idea. What do you think this is all like leading to?
The Wendy's points?
Yeah, they haven't really explained it.
I don't know. It could be like maybe some kind of power that you get, or I don't really know. It's gonna be interesting though. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we're here for Kuzi having the most.
I'm hoping it's not like at the end of the game, it's like whoever has the most Wendy's points has an automatic spot in the end, because that'd be really fucking lame if they did that.
I hope that's not the case.
Or if it's like they're at
I hope it's just like a power or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think, doesn't Kuzi have the most right now? Yeah, which we're here for.
The thing is, though, I could see them doing some fuck shit like that. So, like,
we'll see.
I don't want them to, but I could definitely see that. So let's hope that's not the case. This is a joke, BB Cam producers. Like, don't go back to this and say, "Ooh, let's do that." No. This is a joke. I want to preface that right now. Like, this is a joke. So don't actually do that. Anyway, getting back into it. The final three in the comp ended up being Claudia, Hope, and Ty, which very interesting three. I feel like I was really pulling for a Hope HOH because he's been playing in comp so hard. Like, I wanted to see what would happen here. But ultimately, Ty does end up winning, much to our chagrins and a lot of people in the game's chagrins. I don't think this was what anybody wanted. But I will say, if Ty was in a bad spot coming into this week, oh my God, is he in a terrible spot coming out of it? Like, this was a colossally bad HOH.
This man has the worst HOH-itis.
He really does. He really does. And I mean, I think we kind of expected it, but like, wow, this was like and here's the thing, like, this was the time for him to win HOH. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say Ty didn't need this HOH. No, he absolutely did. The problem is he has such a big fucking ego that it gets in the way of his HOH.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I also feel like he didn't really do much to like capitalize on his position here at all, but we'll get into that. We get another very cringy Ty and Claudia segment, of course, my favorite. And we get a lot of them this week, obviously, with Ty in power. That's the only downside about Ty being in power this week, is we get more Ty and Claudia. But basically she goes over to him, they kiss a bit, and she tells him how bad she wanted the HOH, but congratulates him. And he says that this comp was tough, but he felt that there was no other option other than to win, especially with how interesting last week was, with everyone having their suspicions as to who the invisible HOH was, and with Santina and Renee being at the top of his list, those two likely will be going up if they don't change anything this week, with him leaning towards Santina as the target. What do you think of like his initial like targets here? Do you think it's like the right way to go, or what do you think?
I find it very predictable.
Yeah.
And it's just very boring because
Mm-hmm.
like it's really just because they both thought Santina and Renee were the
Yeah.
HOH last week, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously Santina was, but she's not going to
Yeah.
tell them that. She only told one person. But then he
Yeah.
told his alliance. But like really?
I think, yeah, I think once again, similar to last week, like Ty has an opportunity here to mend fences with Santina and be like, listen, we've been working together since the beginning. I know things kind of like, went downhill last week, but I can get us back on the right track. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like they're in very similar positions. Like Santina's in a spot where she's like, doesn't really give a fuck and she's like firmly in the middle and kind of just doing like whatever she wants. Where I feel like Ty is in a similar spot to where everybody in the house kind of wants him out at this point and he doesn't really have allies and he needs them. And I feel like if he was to get in with Santina, it actually could take him pretty far. But for some, Ty just doesn't seem to put 2 and 2 together this week.
No, not at all.
So yeah, basically Shania then talks about how much she is overreacting and that it's good for Santina to be causing, I didn't read what happened before that. So that line didn't make any sense. But speaking of Santina, we get probably one of the most comical fights I have seen in Big Brother in a long time. We see Anika, it starts off with her. She's just making garlic bread. She's just trying to make some toast for everyone. Everyone's really hungry. Anika's just trying to do a nice thing and make some toast. And here comes Santina, and she criticizes that it's too soft, and she gives it back to her and says she will take one that's actually cooked. Literally goes through all the various pieces, noticing how soft they are. This is why I think people are really just loving Santina. Like very few people I feel like would have the confidence and like the gall for lack of a better term, to be like, no, this is too soft. No, this is not cooked. Like, I feel like very few people would be willing to do that. And the fact that Santina literally says that and then continues to double down on it was so funny to watch. And I just love
it was hilarious.
She is like, she's not afraid to speak her mind. She always is like defending it. And it's just so funny to watch.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. And
yeah, she really doesn't.
And then Anika's just like, really? I made this food for you guys, and you're just criticizing me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Shania talks about how much
and then like Santina's just like clapping back, like, yeah, it's just not good enough.
Yeah. So Shania talks about how much she's overreacting, that it's not good for Santina to be causing more tension in the house. And I agree, but I'm here for it. So I don't know. I like the fact that she's causing all the tension.
Oh, it's so funny.
Ty then shows off his HOH room to everyone, models his winner's outfit, yada, yada, yada. We can skip past that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Claudia then asked Ty if he would be okay if Hope got it. And he says that he wasn't worried, but he's just very unpredictable. And I will say, Claudia has been someone that I have been very on the fence with lately. I think this week solidified to me that there is one thing she does not need, and it's Ty. Like, because she has the right idea this week. She basically tells him that, he talks about how much he wants to put Santina up, but will reconsider putting up Renee if she can give him a talk that makes him do so. She asks who else that he would consider, and she brings up Kuzi because of how comfortable her and Anika felt that they could drop so quickly in that comp and felt so insulated within the house. And he says the reason he's in this situation now with Zach and Dan gone is because he kept overlooking people like Renee, and it backfires. And if he did it already, he did again and already made an enemy, he would just be exposing himself. Whereas he feels good with Kuzi. This is like one of the only things that Ty says that I feel like makes sense. It's like, he's on good terms with Kuzi, but I feel like he does too much of making it obvious that they're working together. Like I understand that it's jury, but like, I don't know. I just felt like he was doing way too much here. What did you think of the way he was like talking up him and Kuzi?
I I thought he was doing too much there.
Yeah.
Like he was really making it look like
Mhm.
uh he was literally making it look like they were like a final two and that Claudia was just not there or like is maybe like his number two kind of thing. And then now it was making her question things.
Yeah, it just like I think what he should have done here is he would have said, okay, yes, Kuzi's a threat, but I don't think now is the time to go for her. I think if he would have done that, I think this would have put him in a much better spot. And I think what ends up happening this week probably does not end up happening because Claudia's like, okay, I'm going to back off of Kuzi for now. We're going to shift it on to somebody else. I think that would have made more sense. But because Ty is like, no, I'm working with her. We're keeping her in. Like he has this necessity to like defend people like as hard as he possibly can when Claudia's not even saying like you have to put her up. She's just like presenting options here. I feel like if he would have just been a little bit nicer about it, I think this honestly could have gone a lot differently. But because it doesn't,
Yeah, he just doesn't really talk to her very nice.
doesn't talk to many people that nice.
Well,
Yeah.
no. I mean, you're not wrong. Also,
Claudia
you know what?
definitely...
I also like never see him connect with like Anika anymore because they like remember when he saved her with Vito first week and now they like don't really talk much.
Well, maybe they do and we just haven't seen it.
That's true.
You know,
no, we need feeds.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. So Claudia doesn't understand why he's so pinpointed on Renee and getting her out, which I mean, I've been wondering this literally since week 1, so I'm with you on that.
Everybody can literally Renee's name is in their heads rent free.
Yeah, so she doesn't understand why when there are bigger fish to fry and how many people Kuzi has on her side, whereas Renee really only has the girly pops, which is true. She's kind of like, it's kind of just like the three of them. So Anika then talks about how much she's discovering a new side of herself through cooking and has been enjoying it. And the second she said this, I'm like, oh God, we're going to have another confrontation.
I know.
This time it's about waffles. She makes waffles for everyone. Again, a really nice thing to do. And then Santina comes in and just talks about immediately. She's like, no, these are pale looking. She's like, I think she said like, I wish I had one that was a little bit more brown. And they're like, wait, are these not cooked? And she's like, no, it's a little too white. And she goes as far as to call it tasteless. And Anika says that she can make her own next time because what she did was pretty rude. Santina says she's just letting her know so everyone else knows and tells her to not be so rude. And Anika tells her that she was rude and next time she won't be making breakfast for her. Santina goes as far as to call her a fucking rude ass and doesn't even want breakfast and then calls her a bitch. And Anika said she isn't a nice person at all and how badly she wants her out this week. So
honestly, I'm kind of here for this rivalry, and if they're somehow the final two, I'm here for it because it'd be funny.
Oh my God, it'd be so funny to watch. So I saw a lot of people talking about on like the digital dailies that we heard about this conversation, and maybe it wasn't going to play a factor in like either of their games. I feel like based on this interaction, especially with like how upset Anika was after this. This is definitely going to play a factor. And like, if Anika ever gets power, Santina needs to like watch her back because I think she's definitely going to put her up.
I agree.
Santina,
it's so funny.
Santina continues to be cracked here because she goes right over to Kuzi and Claudia, literally crying about what's going on and how tasteless her waffle is. And I thought she was going to be like, maybe I was too harsh on her or something. But no, basically says that if Daniel had called her out on it, she would have just laughed around and not said anything, which this is a good point. This is a good point that she brings up here. She says, like, if Daniel would have said something, she wouldn't have said anything because she did it. There suddenly was a problem. And she doesn't feel she was rude by being honest about how bad it was. So Kuzi wonders why she keeps missing. And I love the line where Kuzi's like, why do I keep missing out on all the fights? I was like,
it's so funny. Yeah, also, I will, and then also Renee was also like, I'm grateful for breakfast.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, I definitely think that it's pretty obvious at this point that Anika and Daniel are working together. Santina is recognizing that, and I don't think that's going to be great if she ever wins.
Out of the shady bunch, who do you think the duo is? Is it Anika and Daniel or Anika and Kuzi?
It's hard to say because I feel like there are certain things that happen
because like I don't know which one like Anika's closer with.
It's really hard to say because I've heard people say that they think Daniel and Anika are closer because he's talked about cutting Kuzi and recognizing the
game.
But then with spoilers, with what he does later this week, I feel like maybe it is Kuzi and Daniel. So right now,
Maybe.
I'm going to say I think Daniel's close with both of them. He's just kind of waiting and seeing what happens. Because I think for a while he saw Anika as like, she's not really doing much. She's somebody I can beat. But I mean, Anika's definitely doing a lot more like as the game has gone on. Like, I don't think she is this easy beat that people have kind of like depicted her as early on. I think she's definitely doing a lot more. And I think especially moments like this, we very much do see that.
Oh, yeah.
So Ty has unsurprisingly decided to take Claudia to Wendy's. Again, not shocked about that at all. And kind of get the game plan out for the rest of the week. So he gets a visit from very random choice, BB Can 6 alum Erica. I was very surprised that they would choose her. She congrats him and tells him that the game is a marathon and not a sprint. And she was viewed as a huge target and knew that any chance someone had to take the shot, they were going to take it. So winning HOH gives him the chance to kind of see the game through a bird's eye view, see how the pieces are moving, and make a move that's just not good for his game this week or the next, but for the rest. Literally the only thing I know about Erica, because I haven't seen BB Can 6, is when she calls out Kayla and she's like, she's leaving and Kayla's like, I was told I was your number one target, and she doesn't want to hear it. Like, that's literally the only thing I know about her. So I was very surprised they chose her here.
Honestly, though, that season I was definitely team like Paris, Maddie, and Kayla. But then I like pretty much all the girls though. Like I loved Olivia, and like they were all good.
Yeah, I haven't watched that season. I've heard good things though. So he comes back in.
It's so good.
So they indulge in some Wendy's breakfast, and he says to Claudia that he wants to take a big shot and put up Santina and Renee together, and he says he needs one of them to go. He wants Renee out because of how big of a social player she is, and obviously swaying, which I hate the way that he says this. He's like, she's swaying Claudia in ways that he doesn't like, and her leaving will improve his relation with her because she will not have a friend who doesn't agree with his decisions in her ear 24/7, which I'm just like, just let Claudia play for herself. Like, she's not always easily influenced by people. I mean, I will say as the weeks go on, I do think that she tends to, she's waffling constantly between decisions, but I wouldn't say that's because of somebody else. I'd say that's just her as a player. She's not that great. So Claudia once again entertains the idea of putting up Hope, and he says everyone is going for him because he's a hot commodity, but long-term it doesn't make sense for him to get out Hope because he doesn't see him as a threat, and she agrees that Santina is the right move, and he says she has shown that she needs to be the one that he takes out. So again, Claudia's trying to present him with something. He just actively shuts it down. Really not going great at all, because that's what he loves to do. Doesn't like to hear other people's suggestions.
He is not nice to her at all.
We get probably one of his worst moments in a clip later with Santina, but Ali's going to talk a little bit more about some of his other ways he talks to people, because it's not just Claudia that he talks to. Yes, obviously, the way he talks to her is gross, but the way he talks to everybody this week, I feel like, is pretty gross. So, Ali, go ahead and talk about his conversation with Hope.
Oh, right. He talks to Hope, who is happy to have made jury. He asks him how he's feeling about the noms. And Hope says whatever they both end up doing, he will support 100%, and if it's him, to let him know. And Ty tells him the plan to put Santina up and asks if he wanted to go up. He wants to put up Renee beside her, but in the event one of them is pulled off, he may be in a tight situation, so he'd prefer to put Santina up beside someone else so Renee can just go up in her spot.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. He asks Hope at this point, like, do you want to go up? Because remember, Hope is trying to play this game where he's making it seem like he's expendable. But the thing that I was worried about with Hope, I feel like is already happening, because he's literally asking him, do you want to go on the block? And all Hope had to say was no, but not quite.
Nope. He tells Hope he will guarantee if he does go up, and he will not be going home, and Hope seems to just really want to play in the veto, and he tells him to put him up, which Hope thinks could benefit him in the future, building trust with him, as well as protecting the crown, and this is the perfect time to show them he has their backs, and Ty is a big threat, and the moment he gets the opportunity to take him out, he will do it.
Hope, I love you, but like, wake up. It's literally jury. You can't keep implementing this strategy. You will end up leaving the game because of it. Like, this is...
Yep.
this was a good pre-jury thing for him to do. But I feel like now that it's jury, he needs to be doing more than just acting like he's expendable. And I just don't think he's willing to do it. Like, I need to see Hope actually in power to see if he's willing to do it. But I just don't know if it's actually going to happen. I feel like he's trying to justify things that he's doing, but it's not adding up for me at this point.
Not at all.
Like, I don't know. I don't think Hope can win this game if he keeps.
I don't think Hope is gonna be here much longer.
No, I don't either. And I like Hope a lot. Like, I want to root
I
for
do
him.
too.
He's such a likable presence, but like, he's just he just doesn't think sometimes. Like, it's just not there.
Nope. Santina talks to
Very
him
naive.
to see. Oh yeah, agreed. Santina talks to him to see where they're at, and then congratulates him.
She this conversation. This is literally Ty at his worst.
So bad. She says she doesn't want to go up, but if she does, she gets it based on what happened last week, and then fighting with whatever they had. He says they see things differently for sure. She says she just wants him to let her know and will respect it more and won't be mad or anything.
That's literally where this conversation should have ended. Like, he would have said, I'll keep my options open. That's it. But Ty's got to be Ty.
Mm-hmm. He says he doesn't think she should demand any respect from him.
Oh my God.
And he isn't petty, but he's not going to let it slide. Let shit slide. She mentions how they've been working together since week 1, and he says they really haven't been. She was on an island. Like,
what?
Well, she was on an island, and like they really haven't. And then she was on an island, and he gave her an olive branch to say he wants her stolen.
No, he wants her still in.
He wants her still. We love that typo. You put an O instead of an I.
Yeah, I know. I typed it really fast.
It's funny. She was on an island, and he gave her an olive branch to say he still wants her in. She questions them staying together week 1, and he says they did, but after that, she fell out with everyone, and she questions how that isn't them still working together. And he says working together week 1 is different from them working together from then on. And in terms of them playing together, they haven't been, which she says is news to her, and she already knows what's going to happen. She starts crying and seems quite defeated that there isn't much she can do. She is upset she is going up, but plans to avoid everyone today, and then she can play in the veto tomorrow and take herself off.
I don't understand this man's social game. Like, straight up. I just
No.
don't. Like, literally, you had
it's so bad.
You had an in here with Santina to be like, listen, I'm still on your side. I'm just trying to run through all my options. She could have presented some options to him. They could have potentially gotten back together because they were working he can say what he wants. They were working together. It was very much like Zach, Ty, Santina. They were seen as a trio. Go all the way back to these HOH. She literally wanted Santina out to make sure one of those 3 went because they were seen as so dominant in the game. So for him to literally say we weren't working together, it's like, where have you been? Like, where have you been in this game?
Literally. He's so dense.
No, he's so dense, but he also is just like so egotistical in that way that like he can't seem to respect anyone. And I feel like that absolutely is like his biggest problem in this game. Like, there's just a lack of respect he has for literally everyone in the game. And I think because of that, that's why nobody wants to work with him. Like, it's entirely his fault.
Oh, it is. He's like, he did it to himself.
Yeah.
The house guests get called to the living room, which people were all like wondering what's going on because there was no noms right now.
Yep.
Shania gets called to the diary room. Then she lets them know that Canada has been voting for the final Bel Air Direct Eviction Protection Insurance. Each house guest is only able to win it once, so Claudia and Jonathan are not eligible. The person who is safe ends up being Santina, which Anika and Ty are both less than thrilled about. And also like Daniel and Claudia weren't really happy either.
Yeah, but Anika sipping her coffee, like upset, was like the moment of that for me.
Oh, that was so funny. Like,
yeah.
I'm here for this rivalry. It's hilarious.
It was like literally anybody else.
Santina thought she was doing something wrong with her game, but clearly Canada loves her and is so excited to be safe.
And then we get this like intercut between Santina and people who are like upset that she won.
I know. Shania tells Claudia that everyone loves an underdog, but Claudia says it's annoying because of what happened this morning with the rude comments and all of the lies, and then she thinks they're missing something.
I don't know what she's talking about here. Like, what are they missing? They were fighting over waffles. Like, there's nothing more. It's not that deep.
Literally, it's like just like some random fight.
It's literally over pancake mix. Like, it's nothing.
Oh my gosh. Anika tells Daniel that Santina is mean and says Santana, yeah. That Santina is mean and says she's everything she's saying she's not. And then Santina asks how Canada knew she needed this, and she's very excited and grateful.
Yeah, this is the only time this entire season where I'm happy that the Bel Air Direct was a thing, because I love the fact that Santina is here to live another day. I think as long as she's in this game, it's going to be exciting to watch, because she's not afraid to call people out. She's not afraid to be just like really just like just very blunt about how she feels. Like, this is exactly what we need in this season. But I also feel like she's such a wild card at this point that like it's just gonna be exciting to watch as long as she's here. So I was very happy she won the Bel Air Direct.
Oh, me too. It was like so iconic, and just seeing everyone's reactions was the best.
Yeah. I also feel like this should have been the only Bel Air Direct we had like all season. Like, this was the only one that really mattered.
Yeah. Like the Claudia Jonathan ones didn't really mean anything.
Yeah, because neither of them were ever in danger. So
not that week. Not those weeks, no.
No.
Ty says one thing he has learned in life is that you have to have your own plan, but you always need to expect the unexpected and have a backup just in case things do not go your way. And this is one of those moments, since he thinks Santina got lucky this time, but he had the votes to get her out unanimously. He tries his best to operate on honesty, so he's going to have to tell his plan B that they're going up. Renee walks in the HOH room and says Canada had one job and asks if this isn't good for her. He lets her know he has to see her beside Hope. He promises her if this wasn't a thing, she would have been fine. She asks why it has to be her. He says if he doesn't put her up, he'll be ruffling some feathers.
Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm frozen or if she's frozen, but we will wait for her connection to come back. Anyway, we're going to figure out what's going on with Ellie's connection, and then we will continue talking about the episode. Perhaps it might be my connection. I don't know. We'll see. Let me see what you guys can see. Yeah, so it is very much her connection because you guys can see too. It's like not she's not there.
Hi.
Okay, you're good now.
Wait, why was it
I don't
doing
know
that?
what
I could
happened.
see everything perfectly.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It like froze on me.
Oh, weird.
I don't think it was my end because it froze on the YouTube as
It
well.
was probably just StreamYard.
I don't know. It was weird. But you were talking about ruffling the feathers. That was the last thing I heard.
Renee walks in the HOH room and says Canada had one job and asks if this isn't good for her. Tyne lets her know he has to see her beside Hope. He promises her if this wasn't a thing, she would have been fine. She asks why it has to be her. He says if he doesn't put her up, he'll be ruffling some feathers with people. She's the only one he can put up without upsetting somebody. And Renee asks if he'll be upsetting Claudia, but he says if he did Shania, she definitely would be upset. He says he would be more open to her than Jonathan or Shania. Renee asks how he hopes Hope's gonna go for sure, because what if he takes himself off?
Exactly. He's literally won veto before.
Yeah, literally. He doesn't know which Renee just rolls her eyes. She says if he was putting Hope up against Santina with the intention of Santina going home, he's basically putting her up like a sitting duck, and she asks if it's because her name was getting thrown out. This is why she's been having trouble giving loyalty into places, because she feels like she'll always be the first one thrown up. He says she's not committing to people, so they're more willing to put her up, and that she's not willing to align herself with anybody. And he says she's not committed to him, but she does appreciate him telling her all this. What are your thoughts on this?
Again, just like if he backed off Renee for like a second, he'd be able to see like the game in front of him. And I just feel like because he's had this like constant tunnel vision for Renee, he can't seem to like deviate from that. And here he is trying to campaign for her to go when honestly Renee isn't even that big of a threat at this point. And certainly not a threat to him.
No, not at all. Like it was just like such a simple move.
Yeah.
Renee says she's about to pop off If there's anything she knew about Ty, it's that he's willing to ruffle feathers. So she wonders why he's so scared now. She thought he came in there to play the game, and she's going to show him how she can ruffle feathers, and he's going to regret this one.
Oh boy, will he ever.
Oh, yeah. Renee tells Shania and Claudia that she's going up with Hope. Claudia is very annoyed, and Renee lets them know Ty thinks she has the weakest connection, so it'll ruffle the least feathers, which Shania is confused about. She says he doesn't want to ruffle it with Kuzi. Shania says Kuzi is so implanted in this house, and Renee says they have no sway right now, and he's willing to protect Kuzi's unit. Shania is annoyed that they jumped off on the comp after 20 minutes because they knew they were safe. Well, they both outlasted them.
That definitely is something to be concerned about.
Yeah. Well, they both outlasted them in the comp. Renee says that with this, they would lose a vote and not have power, and she would have to hustle the whole week, and they need to do some moves to her. And Shania says they can't lose her. They tell Claudia to talk to some sense into Ty and plead to change things.
Yeah, which we'll talk more about the Kuzi hate train going on a little bit later, but you can definitely see that like people are starting to see her game. People are starting to see her game.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I hope she doesn't get targeted super early for this.
We'll see.
Because I want her to make it far.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about it on the Wednesday episode, but yeah.
Yeah. She goes to him and lets him know that they both got fired up about him protecting Kuzi more and that Renee would be loyal to him. Which he doesn't agree with and says he won't be taking her down. He says Hope and Renee going up together sucks, while Kuzi remains one step closer to winning this game. And Ty says that they should win something and take her out then. And he asks for power, and that he'll speak to them.
Yeah, once again, I mean, just completely ignoring everything she's saying because, that's what he does best.
Oh, yeah. He's just not very good with social game. He asks to speak to both of them, and he asks Renee what her concern is with this move, and she says he's putting both people up and that are sitting ducks and leaving the weight of the vote in a unit's hand.
Yeah, and this really just shows how bad Ty is.
The unit is Kuzi, Anika, and Daniel.
Yeah, and like this really just shows how bad Ty is at the social aspect of this game. Like he's literally confronted by the girly pops here and does everything he can just to piss them off more.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I said he did literally everything he could to piss them off like that much more. And he's literally confronted by the girly pops and like he does nothing to try to save himself here.
Yeah. It's not good.
Like the thing is, yeah, you're HOH now, but like what happens when you're not HOH? And I think that's something that Ty doesn't think about this week.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely like gone, like next or soon.
No, yeah, he's fucked.
He asks to speak to both of them, and he asks Renee what her concern is with this move. And she says he is putting both people up that are sitting ducks and leaving the weight of the vote in a unit's hand. Oh, wait. AKA the Kuzi, Daniel, and Nika. She thinks they have pull in the house and are loyal to each other. And she thinks they will make the vote go however they want. And also have Jonathan, who isn't going to vote her way because Hope is his number one, and that is the number stack, and he is willing to take that risk.
Yeah. So he says that his issue with her is that
this issue with her is that she's been floating in the middle and not showing him any real loyalty the entire game, and he's tried multiple times, and she's told him she didn't want to commit to anyone, so he doesn't understand why all of a sudden she wants to. She says that was just week one, and he says it's been that way for a couple weeks, and asks what exactly she's done to benefit his game, especially last week sending Dan home. And anytime before that, he hasn't seen anything by it, and she doesn't understand why he is justifying it for Kuzi as a game move, but she supported it. And he says it was hers and she landed it.
Which, I mean, again, like, people can change where they are at the game. You can be against someone and then work with someone, but Ty doesn't seem to recognize that. He does not want any fluidity whatsoever. He wants to kind of just leave things the way they are, and that's that.
Yeah.
You didn't show him loyalty once, you didn't show him loyalty at all.
Mm-hmm. He's like, she's like, she was like, she just didn't reciprocate, so she can just go.
Yeah.
She says she feels she is sensing loyalty more from the other side, and that would be threats. And he says he had a great relationship with Kuzi and with Daniel. Hope is also in that circle, and they are all connected. And she says that circle would likely save Hope. And he says putting her up was not something he wanted to do, but with Santina winning the safety, he had to. She says she will be going up if she goes up. It will be going home if she goes up.
Which is probably what would have happened, I think, if Renee stayed on the block, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ty says this week is his plan was to get Santina on the block and have a unanimous decision send her to jury. But Canada voted to keep her safe, so he had to pivot, and now his focus is on somebody who has been on his radar since day one. It may not have been his first choice, but it's the next best thing. And I will say, day one, that's a lie. Or week one, that's a lie.
Yeah. He's again just not remembering how this game has gone.
Not at all. The next part's yours.
Oh, yeah. So Ty then goes ahead and does make his nominations here. Nominates Hope and Renee, says that Hope is like a very fierce competitor. And Renee, because she's reached out multiple times to build a working relationship with her, but doesn't feel like it's being reciprocated. I don't feel like this is the case. Like, we haven't really seen Ty work on Renee. He's been kind of against her the entire game. So kind of bullshit there. But Hope says that if Ty thinks he's making this move, he's playing his game because he is making it through this week with no problem. Renee says that she's on the block. That she's on the block for a third time, and for the first time, I don't know what game you're talking about, Reality TV Collection, but basically Canada voted to keep her safe, so he had to pivot, and now his focus is on somebody who has been on his radar since week one and may not have been his first choice, but it's the next best thing. Oh, I'm reading the wrong note here. But basically, she offered her grace and patience, but this time she's pissed, and it feels like a straight betrayal to her. And that is really where we leave Sunday. But the chaos doesn't stop there. We get into Wednesday, and Wednesday is really when things start to heat up here. We see Renee is very annoyed having been on the block and that she ruffled the least amount of feathers, which she thinks the feathers is towards Kuzi's group, which is very much towards them. Like, Renee's not like, they can get her out easily. So she says that he hasn't noticed that when people have spoken ill on her name, bad karma is coming their way. So she's going to roll this one out and see what happens. So Kuzi then goes to talk to Hope, and he tells her that this is great because Ty trusts him now. She says that she wants to feel safe completely, but to not keep offering himself up like that. And he says moving forward, he won't and will start winning for them. And Kuzi is really not thrilled that he offered to go on the block and thinks that he thought he was doing a noble thing and is imitating him, which I thought was really funny. And that while the Crown has the numbers to save him, it's a very dangerous position to put himself in. And he's really risking his whole life in the game, which, yeah, I mean, this was a really dumb move for Hope. He could have very well gone here. And I thought for a while he was going to go here. So this was just not a good move for Hope all around. And Kuzi, I think, had every right to be like pissed at him about it.
Oh, yeah. It was just, he played this so badly.
Yeah, it's like, it's a very like short term makes sense, but like this phase of the game, no, you don't do this now. So the girly pops talk, and Renee talks about how maybe Ty does have a close relationship with Kuzi, and Claudia is very confused that she was screaming at him, telling him that he's next, and he's fine with her now. Renee says the fact that she could come at him like that and be totally fine is worrisome. She hasn't touched the block and has won HOH before, and this could absolutely be her game. Realistically, whenever she wants this week will happen. And if they end up keeping Hope after her, that they will be next. And no matter what happens, she will pull off those moves. They are just the side characters, and they are really going hard for Kuzi here, which I wasn't expecting. I feel like Kuzi's played a really good game up to this point. I really do accredit this to Ty. I think Ty is to blame for everything that's happened when it comes to Kuzi. If he had not made it clear that he's working closely with Kuzi, I don't think people start seeing Kuzi as a threat. But because Ty was like, oh, I'm good with Kuzi, I've made good connections with her, it's like, yeah, they're going to start to perceive her as a big threat in that way. So I really think he could have kept his mouth shut here, and it would have benefited both him and Kuzi. But again, I really do think him throwing out her name like that, even if it was like I want to save her manner, really just kind of had the opposite effect.
Yeah. He kind of needs Kuzi in a way.
Yeah.
But, like, she also wants to cut him as well, like, so she probably wouldn't take him that much farther.
I don't know, honestly. Like, I think Kuzi sees him as, like, somebody that is, like, easy to beat, so I could see him
that's what I think
him,
too,
really far. But I feel like Ty at this point is gonna get himself out, like, with how he's been playing, so...
Oh, yeah.
Basically, she goes to talk to him and tells him what Renee has been saying and is acting all weird. Oh, Kuzi actually goes to them first to make sure that Renee is okay. Renee says that as long as they weren't throwing out her name, and Kuzi says that it must be a horrible feeling, and Renee says that it gets less painful every time. Claudia's feeling scared by her, and that while Ty is close with her, she targeted Zach and got him out. And she's heard her saying she would target Ty and doesn't understand why he has so much trust with her and to hold her up higher than others. So she goes to talk to him and tells him what Renee has been saying and is acting all weird. And he says it's like he says that like she might have a crush on him or something. That's definitely not the case.
No.
And she asks
Kuzi does not have a crush on him.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that really is just Ty's narcissism being like, oh, everybody loves me. She must have a crush on me. That's why she wants to work with me. It's like, can you think of literally any other reason? Because it's definitely not that. So she asks what he means by that, and he says that she has been making jokes like she's a jealous girlfriend when they first started working together. And unbeknownst to them, Kuzi has been in the bathroom while they were talking. Claudia is very embarrassed, hoping that she didn't hear them, which she very much did. You can tell that she did. And Ty wants to do damage control to make sure that she didn't. Kuzi then makes it clear that she did hear it very clearly and lets Anika, Daniel, and Ty know that Renee is angry at her, and Ty tells her that she was fixated on her, and he's trying to make sure everything she heard came from Renee and not Claudia because he's trying to protect her, which he doesn't do a great job with that. So Kuzi says Renee has done nothing in the house but be on the block. She wants to know what she's done to win this game. She's done nothing but lose every single challenge. She's floored. She has said her name, and this really just makes me feel like Kuzi's definitely going to go for Renee at some point. Like, Renee is definitely a really big target in Kuzi's head.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't have to be, but now that this happened, now Kuzi sees her as like a really big threat now. So Kuzi and Nika then chat about Renee saying her name. Kuzi says if she thinks she has the power she thinks she has, she should be coming to her and pitch the girls to stick together, which Anika says she shouldn't be selling her out. When she pitches something, Kuzi is going to rip her a new one. Anika says that she thinks she's so slick, and Kuzi apologized to her, but that she's sending her granddaughter back home to her, which I thought was really funny. Very funny moment for Kuzi there. So yeah, again, very interesting to see how this played out. I would not have expected for Kuzi to be somebody that people wanted to target at this point. But it seems like, I don't think she's going to go. I think Kuzi still has enough people on her side to where she is in a good spot. But I do think that Kuzi is definitely, there are going to be people that want her out. I just don't think those people are powerful enough to actually get her out. Like, I think Kuzi has insulated herself well enough to where she's not going to go for a long time. I do wonder if she's going to be able to win the game, though. I don't know if, because people like Daniel and Anika, I've heard, have been talking and things like that. So I don't really know what's going to happen here. I don't think that the girly pops are going to be able to get her out. I don't think that's going to happen because they're just not as powerful as Kuzi in the game. They don't have as many people on their side as Kuzi in the game. They've kind of been alone in the game, but I do like this girly pops versus Kuzi narrative that's been going on. It's very interesting to watch, especially because all the women supposedly were going to work together. It seemed like they were going to work together to take out Zach, and then that kind of fell through, and now they're kind of like butting heads. It's very exciting to watch. Definitely not what I would have expected to happen, but that is where we are at. So it's time to pick players for the veto comp, and Hope wants as many members of the Crown to play. So he picks Santina, and Renee then picks Claudia. Claudia is obviously very excited to compete. Ty then does something that I think was like, he did a lot of things this week that didn't make sense, but this especially was like, I don't know what Ty was thinking.
This is now it was the internet this time.
Oh my God, what is going on? But we're talking
what
about
is wrong with StreamYard tonight?
I have no idea.
Sorry, where were you?
We're at the veto players.
But okay.
Ty, for some reason, picks Santina.
I will say one thing. I do hope Kuzi and Renee can talk and just like work things out.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like it's inevitable that they're gonna,
So, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I basically said that I think Kuzi's in a spot to where she's not going to go, but I think Renee is in a very precarious spot now, especially with having Kuzi on her radar, which didn't need to happen. So, yeah. Ty then does something, though, that makes absolutely no sense. He's basically said this entire week. Think about this. He's wanted Renee out. Renee's his target. He wants to make sure that she goes. He wants to make sure that Hope stays. So you would think with him doing that, picking like an Anika, picking a Daniel, that would make more sense. For some reason, he decides to pick Shania.
I know. It's like, really? What is your reasoning with this, sir?
I truly have no words. I truly have no words for the just level of just the level of dumbassery that
I know.
But yeah, Kuzi's very confused. The Ty picks Shania, as she should be, because it didn't really make any sense. Renee is overjoyed because this is like literally the perfect lineup for her. So Kuzi then goes to talk to Ty and says that it's unlikely that Shania wins, but if she does, she'll want to use it. Ty says that he picked Shania because, and this is like the dumbest reason, he's like, oh, I can sway her. He shows her he's a detriment to her game. It would make a bigger target than she already is. He thinks that he can sway her. He hopes that Kuzi doesn't think he's doing anything shady. He just had to make a split decision on the spot, which, no, you really didn't. You could have easily picked like a Daniel or Anika here. I don't understand why he went with Shania, someone who was never going to do what was in his best interest.
It's so funny.
So we get to
it was such a good TV. It was like,
it was.
Well, it was like the stupidest move for Ty, but it's so good.
Yeah, like I said, he did a lot of dumb shit this week, but like this is probably like the dumbest thing he could have done.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jonathan is then hosting the veto comp, which is ironic considering what ends up happening. But their job is to fix their home while ensuring they grab the veto. 2 house guests are going to be chosen by random to compete in the first head-to-head challenge. Loser be eliminated. The winner of the final match will win the power of veto, as well as $5,000 from Bel Air Direct. So we get the first match. It's between Hope and Santina. They're going to be fixing their broken fence and race to collect the pieces that are scattered throughout the yard. They're going to place them in the correct spots. And once the fence is complete, they'll have to clear their yard of debris and hit the buzzer. Hope then ends up finishing first, which knocks out Santina. We then have Renee and Shania, which I thought Shania was just going to throw it to Renee here.
I know.
But once they go, they race to clear the driveway of fallen trees. They'll then remove their tires and roll them down the driveway, successfully landing them into the tire rack. And once all 4 tires are on the rack, they'll have to attack new tires on their car and hit the buzzer. Shania then ends up finishing first here. It's then down to Hope and Claudia, where this time they have to collect their bricks and rebuild their sidewalk. They replace the final bricks from the exterior of their house, and the first house guest to correctly place all of them is going to move on to the final round. Claudia ends up finishing first, so it's now down to her or Shania, which is like best case scenario for Renee. It's literally
well, actually, what Claudia, it's more weary because like Ty could tell her not to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like
Shania obviously has her own brain.
Claudia is definitely the most like easily influenced of the 3. So The house
Claudia.
guest who completes their claim first will win the power of veto. And after an intense and close battle, Shania actually ends up finishing and wins the veto here. A very good moment for her. Like I said,
It
someone we
was.
haven't seen like at all in the show actually gets power this week. I don't think anybody would have expected Shania to win the veto here, but she does.
Oh, it was great.
So she's very happy because she can take Renee off the block and can see her game coming together. She's very excited that they will live to see another week and that this changes so much for the both of them. But we'll see if that actually ends up happening, considering what we get to next.
Oh yeah. All right. Shania is so happy to have some power to do something in this game. She wants to get Renee off the block, but she senses there's going to be a lot of pressure to put on her, but she just needs to focus.
And I love how much like she wants to make this happen. Like she's not going to waver here. She's going to make sure Renee goes off that block.
I know. Renee and Shania happy dance and hug each other. Then Claudia joins them. Renee says for the first time ever, this bootay might actually be getting off the block before eviction. This is the perfect situation because Shania can take her off, keep her safe, and make sure she doesn't go up either. Claudia tells Renee and Shania she thinks it's going to be Jonathan, so Hope will go home. Renee tells Shania she feels like Ty is really going to put heat on her not to use it. And then Shania says she doesn't care because if he wants to come for her after this, whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't even care.
He's just like, I don't care. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Ty says now that Shania won the veto, it's not the ideal situation. He's pretty close with Kuzi, and if he has to throw up one of her allies, it's not great for his game. His priority is to try and keep Renee on that block. He needs to talk to the girly pops and convince them that it's in Shania's best interest not to use it.
Which, like, why not just put one of Kuzi's allies up? Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, hurt him to do that. Like, just because you're close with Kuzi doesn't mean you have to also be close with her allies. It's like, I don't get it.
I don't either. Claudia tells Ty she's really likely to use it. Ty tells her he feels like he wants her to pick between Shania and Renee, which Claudia is floored that this is happening. She feels like he's threatening to put her up, which is like completely toxic.
Yeah, this was bad. Like he's done a lot of things. Like this was literally like it's me or them. Like stop. No.
Ty tells her he wants to see who is more valuable to her, which he says he knows it's her, but he says if she uses the veto, then it's obviously not her. She understands what he's saying, but she tells him she doesn't respect this approach. She's trying really hard to play this game alongside her, and she's trying to be a team with him. But he says if she understands the position he's in, and she's saying she shouldn't do something, she's not respecting his plan, which is like this is such a bad moment.
Yeah, this was really bad. And again, I think with Claudia, he could have really like established like, I have you, I'm on your side, I'm going to try to listen to you here. But he hasn't even attempted to like listen to anything that she said. He's just like belittled her. And
yeah, it was so gross.
Yeah, it's bad.
Renee and Ty talk about how he's feeling. Ty says Shania wants to pull her off the block, but his concern is that he's being put into a position where he has to make enemies in this house. Renee says, now that they have the opportunity to do it, he's going to advise her not to. And he says if she pulls her off, he can't work with them going forward, which is like, really? He handled this so bad.
Yeah, literally.
He says it's not that. What?
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to read the next part.
Yeah.
But you go ahead.
I hate that he like tried to change her mind here. Like if she's just going to use the veto, just let her use it. Like there's no reason to sway her.
Yeah, literally. It's her decision.
Yeah.
He says it's not that he doesn't want her in this house. He wants her to stay there by campaigning to show people why she belongs there over Hope. Renee doesn't understand Ty's gameplay, which like neither do I.
Yeah.
Because he basically because he basically gave them an opportunity to show them that he's willing to work together, but now he's saying she should stay up there, hope for the best, and like rely on social game and everything.
Yeah.
Shania says she doesn't know that from talking. She knows from talking to the girls, Ty doesn't want her using the veto, but if he didn't, she truly doesn't understand why she picked him in the first place. But she still has to have a conversation with him and hear him out and let her know what she's thinking. Shania and Ty talk, and he congratulates her on winning her first comp. from her standpoint, she feels like it makes the most sense to take Renee off because if she stays up there, she's most likely leaving. She is somewhat, which is honestly true.
Yeah.
Because the crown would keep Hope.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, I think definitely if Renee was up there, she would have gone.
Yeah. She is someone she's a lot closer than many people. To watch her walk out when she had the opportunity to save her would be a missed opportunity. On top of that, it wouldn't make her look very good if she didn't use it, because since like it wouldn't look very good if she didn't take her ally off.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to put Ty in a bad position, but it's hard for her to wrap her mind around a scenario where she wouldn't take advantage of taking one of her allies off. Ty says if she takes her off, the domino effect that she'll have on her would be that she'll immediately see the effects against her game, since people don't trust Renee, and he's tried to work with her, but she never reciprocated. He tells her many people in the house feel the same way about her. What did you think of this?
Again, just I don't understand the way Ty talks to people. It's just like
Me
he's so
neither.
confrontational. He always tries
Condescending.
to he just demeans them. Like that's what he does. He just demeans them, makes them feel worthless. Like your job as the HOH is to try to gain allies. Obviously, yes, you want what's in your best interest, but you also don't want to make people feel like they don't have a say in what you're doing. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's like, it's pretty much his way or the highway, which is like not the way to go about it.
No, not at all. Shania says Ty put Renee on the block to not ruffle any feathers, but she's sick of hearing about that. He's trying to make her feel like a public enemy number one if she stops his move, and she's not here to play his game, which we love.
Oh yeah.
Hope says Ty told them Shanea's leaning towards using veto. If the noms change and he doesn't put up Claudia, one of the crown will be sitting next to him like Jonathan. The crown cannot let that happen, and they made a plan last night and they're going to pull it off, which Kevin is going to read.
Yes, let's talk about this. So we see this flashback, players of the crown talking about their plan, and Kuzi says she's hearing it from one person and hearing different sides, and Anika says that they have to make sure Shania doesn't use the veto. So Hope says that Kuzi, Anika, and Daniel are trying to convince Shania to not use it, and his job is to distract Renee so she doesn't interfere, which I thought this plan was brilliant. I really did.
Oh, it was.
This was well thought out. They're not trying to just like demean her. They're not trying to make her, feel like you have to do this. They're really just trying to get her to see like maybe there's a different way, a different avenue, So
yeah,
before the veto ceremony, Kuzi, Daniel, and Anika chat with her, and Anika grabs Claudia to listen in. Daniel, and I like that she grabbed Claudia here because obviously she knows whatever Shanae is going to say is going to get back to Claudia. I thought this was really smart. So Daniel says they want to see what's going on, where the heads are at, show support, and ideally at the end of the day, it's best if she doesn't use the veto. He says that moving forward, they'll still have each other's backs. Kuzi says that she's talked herself into the position that she will be in and that Shania shouldn't want to let her game go by supporting her. And Anika says that she's going to take her far since she's the target of everyone, and she has numbers, and it's only her who will do anything such as lie to her and Claudia last week. And Anika says that if Renee was the invisible HOH, why would she lie? Which, she wasn't. So Shanae is feeling frustrated because everyone is coming at her and telling her what to do. And Anika says that her not using it doesn't mean Renee has to go home. She still has a chance. And Shania says that if they're saying this to her and Hope is still on the block, she feels like they're going to keep him and she doesn't have a good game relationship with him. So Anika says that she has them and that it's about the bigger picture. Shania says she's not upset with them, but she's extremely overwhelmed and she appreciates them talking to her and she's leaning towards not using it, but she thinks that it's going to make her feel like an idiot. And I thought this was a very interesting pitch. It's like, okay, this could actually go somewhere because she says that it's funny what people will do and say when they're scared of going on the block. She says that there are numbers for her going forward, but she has to do what's best for a game. So she's going to figure out. She has considered if saving Renee is going to help or hinder her. But right now it feels like it's not going to help. And
right there, she was like, is she not going to use it?
Well, I think Anika does bring up a good point here where it's like at some point you have to recognize, like, are you playing your game or Renee's game? Which, I mean, I feel like based on this episode, she's not really playing her own game. She's kind of just loyal to Renee at this point. And I do think that is going to be.
And she just wants the girly pops to stick together.
Yeah. And I think that honestly is like the biggest problem with all three of them. They're just so tied to each other. They don't want to work with other people. Renee does, but the other two, not really. So it's time for the veto ceremony. Shania does decide to use the veto to save Renee. And she says that on day one, they came into the game together, dead last. Ever since then, she's been out there fighting for her life. And it's her pleasure to offer her a little bit of safety this week. So they hug it out, and Ty says that nominations have not been respected.
Okay, I will say that was hilarious when he says they weren't respected.
Yeah, I hate that he phrased it like that.
Like, really?
He's been forced to
Come
make a
on.
decision he never intended to make, even though he literally could have picked anybody. He decides to put Jonathan on the block. Hope says that emotionally he respects Shania for what she did because he would do the same thing, but he doesn't want him or Jonathan to go. He doesn't know how he's going to campaign against him. Jonathan feels that like he's in this very tough spot, and he always says whatever happens that they're going to figure it out, but right now he's having trouble figuring it out. He still has a lot of game to play and doesn't feel like it's his time. And Shania says that people are not happy, but this is the move that she wanted to make. Everyone there preaches do what's good for her game. The move was good for her. She's not a floater, and she's not afraid to go against what the house wants. And if she's the next HOH, Ty better watch out. That is where we end on
That was
Wednesday.
such a good episode.
It really was. And speaking of Jonathan, I wanted to say this before. I do think it's kind of ironically funny that Jonathan hosted the comp that gets him on the block.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of
know.
funny the way that happened. But yeah, this was like, you knew something was going to go down, but I don't think anybody expected for the outcome of what happens here on Thursday. After the veto ceremony, everyone is just like devastated to see Jonathan go on the block. I mean, people are acting like they're at a funeral at this point.
I know. They're acting like he died.
Yeah, Hope says that Jonathan is his one true person in the house and his rock, and he can't believe he got them into this situation. Jonathan says that he sees Hope as a little brother and hates that he has to campaign against him and is very sad right now. Jonathan really is just like the big like softy in the house. Like he's just a really nice guy. He's there to make everyone feel good, and he's good at that. But I've said it before. He's just not there in terms of the strategy. He's just not there in terms of the like cutthroat manipulation. It's just not there, and you really do see that through his campaigning here. So Claudia doesn't understand why everyone is upset by this decision, especially with everyone playing their own game. So Ty then apologizes to Jonathan, and he says he's not mad at him, which I didn't understand this. He's mad at him. He's more mad at Shania and doesn't feel like this was his decision. Ty tells him Renee is the brain of Shania, and she is telling her to do this. So Claudia then talks to Ty and says she doesn't understand what is going on. And she says that Shania was excessively pressured and she did her own thing. And Ty then tries to stop her from finishing her sentence, asking if this was about her personal game, or I think he said her like, I think he said, is this for her personal game or for like her like private game, like her own like out of game. And Claudia says that she is one of her best friends in the house and she's going to defend her. He basically tells her she has to choose between him and the girls, which again is really fucked up. And she feels
that's really disgusting
by this conversation. I just didn't understand, like, why is Shania taking the heat for this? Why is Ty basically getting away here? Why are people mad at Shania?
I know.
Not at Ty, when Ty was the person who put Jonathan up, not Shania.
Ty should get the heat.
But, you know, Shania's in a very bad spot after this. So Daniel tries to comfort Hope, who is crying that he fucked up putting himself on the block. And I felt really bad for Hope here, but at the same time, he kind of did it to himself. Daniel says that there are so many things that cause this and he can't help himself, and no matter what, they would have been on the block. Anika also is like very upset by this and doesn't understand why Shania did this, thinking that she wasn't going to after the deal that they made and with the conversation they had. She doesn't like that she went against the house just for Renee, which she's not wrong. I mean, very much I think the way to perceive this is like it's her and Renee, and that's like she cares more about Renee's game than her game, which at some point it's like, even if you're that tied to someone, sometimes you just kind of have to let them go. And, you know, she didn't do that. So Ty tells them that he did everything right. He doesn't think anything he did was wrong. He did everything he possibly could. So Daniel then tells the Crown that they have to be strong. They're still in this fight. They're going to continue fighting each other until the end of the game. I love this little pep talk he gave. The Crown's.
I did too.
And Shanae has been shocked with how much this has really shaken the house. All of the girly pops pretty much seem confused, especially since this reaction didn't take place when any of them were on the block, which is true. I think
That's true.
When Claudia went up, they didn't react in that way. I think it really is just like they formed this alliance. They're all really tight and things like that. They're ready to like take the reins of the game. And now one of them's going to go like immediately. I think that's really what this is. I think I do question because you have to, if something else took place that was a little bit more serious that they might not have wanted to show that we didn't see. But I don't know. There's really no way to know. Based on what we have here, I really do think it is like they solidified this alliance and felt like they were in this great spot. And now immediately one of them has to go. And it's just really sad to me. Because that is always really devastating. So
it was sad.
I think that is what it is. But again, there is that part of me that's like, was there something else that just wasn't shown?
I know.
Definitely something to think about. So,
like maybe just like some fight or something.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Kuzi and Daniel go to comfort him, and Kuzi is upset because Renee truly has taken Shanae nowhere. Meanwhile, Jonathan is the most likable person in the house, and she has prioritized friendship over her own game.
Yeah, which I mean,
Santina talks to them and tries to comfort them. Renee is very annoyed by Santina, who goes over to them and tells them congratulations. And Renee says she didn't have to be sarcastic, and she tells them she is actually being legit. And if they don't want her support, she won't give it to them. Renee feels she was just looking for a fight, and that wasn't genuine.
Yeah.
She assures Shania she made a great move based on that reaction and has now disrupted something they are not in on.
Yeah, this was like, she literally goes over, says congratulations, and they still like have a problem with it. Like Santina just can't catch a break in terms of her everyone wanting her out. But I mean, it's moments like this that make me very happy she's still in the house.
Oh yeah. Daniel wakes up pretty early in the morning, and he goes into the library and searches through books to figure out what the clues might mean. He looks at certain items within the house, but he's annoyed by how hard it is.
I thought this was very smart. Like, this is the time to do studying and things like that, which we're definitely going to come around to these books a little bit later on. But I will say, I don't think he got anything. I've seen some people speculate that maybe he got something and they're lying to us. I don't think we would have had a whole segment where he's like, I didn't find anything. This is really annoying. I think they would have made it clear if he found something. I think there's more. I think someone else potentially found something that we just didn't see. But I did think,
I think so too.
An interesting segment and a good way of kind of reminding us, like,
I mean, I will say it'd be cool if he did find something, but I don't think he did.
Unless he like searched again. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I will say I like that. Like, this is a good way of saying, like, hey, yeah, this is still out there. This is still something that, like, you'll want to get your hands on. So I thought that was good.
Yeah. Anika and Kuzi talk, and they discuss that they need to keep hope, mainly because of how much love Jonathan has, but how little of a fuck hope gives minus comps.
Yeah, which is true.
Kuzi feels this really puts the Crown in trouble because Jonathan is supposed to be the shield in the group with getting information while Hope is a competitor, and they're both super conflicted with what to do.
This really frustrated me because, like, I would have loved to see a scene of, like, seeing more of Jonathan being like this guy who's like getting the information. Like, we didn't really get to see any of that. So Kuzi saying that's like, oh, that's what he does.
I know. I wish we got to see that.
Yeah.
This is why we need feeds.
Yeah, definitely.
Claudia talks to Ty with the intention of ending the relationship. She tells him she is very tired of the way he has talked to her and feels he doesn't trust her. And he tells her she may just be insecure and that she isn't giving him the same level of respect that he gives her. And for her just to make it seem he is talking down to her isn't his intention. And she tells him she isn't looking to continue this and tells him she doesn't have any hard feelings and then hug it out.
Yeah, I was very happy that she seemingly ended this, but I
hope she did.
I don't believe it. I feel like Claudia, the way this has gone, anytime something happens in the house that like really shakes things up, Who does she go back to? Goes back to Ty. And then, you know, 1 second it's like, I can't stand him. I need him gone. And then the next second they're like back to cuddling. So I don't know if I fully believe that this is an actual breakup. I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's just her like recognizing like, okay, this just isn't going to happen. We're not going to be working together moving forward. But
Yeah.
I just don't trust Claudia with the way she's played the game the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely like tough to say, but we'll believe it when we see it.
So back and forth on everything. I don't really trust her word.
Yeah, like I like her. She's just very frustrating.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how it's going to affect her game, but this doesn't feel right or feel like an equal partnership. So it's just what she has to do.
Hopefully it stays that way.
I hope so. Hope talks to Kuzi and that what?
I said speaking of Hope.
Oh, yeah, right. Hope talks to Kuzi in that he told Claudia he wants to work with her and asks her if he should try to talk to them. And Kuzi says he should say that Ty wants him to stay because he wants him to do the things that he can't, but he will be putting him up immediately once he is in power. And he wants to go full commando after this week and stop playing Mr. Nice Guy.
And I love the segment where Kuzi's like, you do realize commando means naked, right? And he's like, no, I mean like commando. And she's like, no, that's not what you said. I thought that was a fun little.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was
like
amazing
between them.
It was such a fun segment. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Anika goes to Jonathan and he brings up that if Hope was on the block, he'd fight for him. And he says he's a very strong and valuable asset. And he feels he is fighting an uphill battle because Ty wants him out more. And Anika says it's because he knows he can't convince him. And he says he wants to prove how valuable he can be to the crown. She says that the girly pops still want him here and to work with him and to work on them. He feels Santina may be the swing vote here, and he says if they continue working with Ty and he works with the girls, the crown can stay on top.
Which, like, is great, but I really feel like Jonathan just wasn't doing great with the campaigning here. It really just came across as, like, I really like everyone. I want to make connections, and it's like, that's, like, the bare minimum of what you can do. Like, what do you do to, like, value people's game? I don't think Jonathan did a good job with that here.
No, not at all.
That being said, we do get a scene with Hope that I thought was going to ruin his chances of staying. Basically, he asks all of them if this is all to the crown. He asks, hey, is there a possibility that Jonathan could potentially expose us? And all of them are like, why would you bring this up? Like, this is not the time. And Anika asks why he do that because he just wants to make sure in the event he leaves that they aren't exposed at all. And Daniel makes a point to say that it's pretty obvious that they already are, aside from not knowing Jonathan is with them. Hope says that he will be mad if he goes home since he was trying to protect someone. Kuzi says that he did this with Ty and didn't even speak to them about it, and Jonathan isn't going to throw them under the bus, but the way he suggested it may seem like he would. And Kuzi tells Daniel that she's like super irritated by him, and Daniel says that they may have to get rid of them soon. So I really thought this was going to be like the end for Hope. I thought this was going to be the moment where it's like, yeah, Hope's not valuable to us. Hope keeps going back and forth. We got to go for him here. So yeah, this was bad, I thought.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah. So the girly pops talk about how few guys are left, which we love that it's basically women at this point. So Kuzi, Santina, and Anika come in. They talk a bit about the vote and how much they are being controlled on what to do. Anika lets them know that Ty basically warned them that Jonathan would be going up, and Shania says that she can't keep Hope here because his history has shown that he can easily change his mind in a second, whereas Jonathan is honest and level-headed, which, yeah, that is a good point. Jonathan's been super honest the entire game, which I think is also a detriment. Santina's very unsure if Jonathan can remain in fighting mode after being on the block and is unsure where her vote is really going. And Shania talks about how like they've all tried to come together to form a girls' alliance and it hasn't quite worked out, but with them having a common enemy in Ty, they can hopefully come together on the vote this week. This pretty much tells me like no matter what happens, Ty is pretty much out next week. They're all going to try to like come together. Yeah, this was interesting because I feel like the girls, they keep trying to make this happen. They want to make this girls' alliance, including Kuzi, Anika, and Santina, but they just can't seem to get on the same page. And that, unfortunately, is also reflected through this vote. But at this point, I mean, I think you'd agree with me. I didn't know who was going to leave. I really didn't know.
I didn't either.
There were reasons to keep both of them in, so I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, this seemed like a very up in the air vote that like could go literally either way.
Yeah. So we get to the live eviction vote, and Hope gives a plea saying that he's here to, and I will say both of these pleas were terrible. Like, I'm just going to say that
Yeah,
now. Neither
they
of these
were.
pleas were good at all. Hope gives a plea saying that he's here to inspire and motivate, and that he wants to be here as living proof that anything is possible, and they're all Big Brother. This sounds like a pitch as to why you should be cast on the show. This does not sound like a plea
It
to stay in the
does.
house. Like, this was not good.
Mm-mm.
Jonathan says, I'm all about loyalty, and thanks them all for getting to know him and where they've all come from. This is like, you say this when you're out the door. Like, you don't
I
say
will
this
say it's better than Dan mentioning just cooking meals, but they're still pretty bad.
I mean, anything is, but like, yeah, these were bad. So we get
Mm-hmm.
to the vote, and obviously this has been a very like extremely sensitive one for many of them. Ultimately, though, Jonathan is voted out here by a vote of 4-3. It was a split vote with the girly pops, with the crown having control, but then the girly pops end up voting for Hope. I will say I was surprised that Santina voted for Hope and not voted for Jonathan and not Hope, because it seemed like
Same.
those two had a pretty close friendship. So I'm wondering
Yeah,
like what happened to
that kind of tells that Santina is like easily manipulated.
Mhm.
And I know that Renee and Hope had a good friendship, but she ended up evicting him. But I guess the girly pops just thought because he volunteered.
He volunteers. He's like he doesn't seem he can't seem to like stick true to his word. He's kind of just a mess. So
He
I
is
don't think
messy.
Hope is going to be. And this really begs the question: do you think this was the right decision for the crown? Do you think they should have kept Jonathan, or what do you think?
I feel like it could have gone either way because I mean Hope's good in comps, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of an either way kind of thing. But I do love the split vote because they're so intense.
Yeah, for me, like I feel like this was probably the right decision, because I feel like
Yeah.
if Hope is on the block, he's able to, because I think it really does come down to, and they talked about this, is Jonathan still going to be in fighting mode when he is saved, or is he just going to feel so defeated that he's just going to go the next week?
I
Whereas
will say I feel like next time Hope's on the block, it's his time.
yeah, I think so. I don't think Hope is lasting much longer. And I think
1 or
scenes
2
like
more
what we
weeks, that's it.
saw with him being like, oh, is Jonathan going to throw us under the bus? Like stuff like that is what's going to get Hope voted out. So
Yeah.
yeah, not great.
Mm-mm.
So we get to his interview with Arissa, which is about as basic as everything Jonathan's done. He
Yeah.
talks about how grateful he is for this experience with all of them, despite not winning. And he feels like he set out everything he wanted to do, getting to know everyone, building relationships, and representing Newfoundland. And he sees Kuzi as his winner pick right now, which we've had 2 people in a row now say they think Kuzi's winning the game. So
Oh yeah. She's got like such great jury
yeah.
management and like if she's in the end, she's winning unanimously.
Oh yeah, I think this pretty much sums that up. So
As
we
she should.
something I was surprised about, for the first time all season, we actually do get to see some goodbye messages.
Yeah.
Nothing to really comment on here. They all just seem really sad to see him go. I think it really just speaks to how amazing of a person Jonathan really
Nice
is.
of a person he is, all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm sure he is a really nice person. He seemed like somebody that like really valued, friendships in the house and things like that. I just think the cutthroat nature of the game, it just wasn't his forte. Like, I honestly think Jonathan is someone who would like thrive better on like the circle, a game that isn't nearly as chaotic. And I think he would have done much better on like that. So maybe put him on the circle, Netflix. Maybe get on that, because I think he'd do well there. So
that would be cool, actually.
Yeah. So it's time. So for the first time all season, we actually get to see the entirety of an HOH comp after the episode, which was great to see. We don't.
I mean, the comp also wasn't that long.
Yeah, so it's time for the next
HOH
comp.
It's a trivia knockout.
Yeah, they're gonna go head to head against someone. The whole comp is centered around a Circle K snack wall and the various challenges made over the course of the season. It is now time to test their knowledge in a showdown. They're going to go head to head and be asked a question, and they will have to answer either A or B. If they answer correctly, they choose the next 2. Obviously, if not, they're just out automatically to face off until there is one last player standing. So I'm not going to go through all the questions here because there was a point where Video Brother cut out, so I didn't get to see all the questions. So I'm not going to say what they were. But Claudia and Anika are up first, and Claudia correctly buzzes in, which takes out Anika. Santina and Hope are then next. Hope then buzzes in correctly, which takes out Santina. Renee and Claudia are next, which Claudia ends up winning. I was like, oh my God, are we going to get a Claudia HOH?
I actually was surprised here. I thought this was like going to be one of Renee, like maybe Renee's comp.
Yeah.
But maybe, or maybe I think she just didn't buzz fast enough.
Or she's just not that good at comps.
Well, that I saw like on her tweet from like her sister or something saying that she just didn't buzz fast enough.
That's true. Yeah, Claudia did buzz in pretty quickly there. So
yeah.
Hope and then Kuzi then face off, in which Kuzi wins. Shania and Claudia are next, and Shania incorrectly gets it. So again, another point for Claudia. And then probably the most interesting one of them all, I wanted to talk to you about this. Kuzi and Daniel are next. Daniel buzzes in immediately. Do you think he threw this to Kuzi? Because I feel like this is pretty obvious.
I think he could have, because maybe he just didn't want to get the blood on his hands and just keep working a social game. Yeah. So that could have been why.
Yeah, I feel like
it was interesting.
Yeah, I feel like he very obviously threw this to Kuzi. I think this was done in an effort to make sure that she won. He wanted to make sure that like she got this HOH. He knew that she was in danger. Daniel's really not in danger at all.
Not right now, no.
HOH, which I will say, if Daniel's at the end, this is smart. Knowing what comps to not win, this is smart to do something like that, like throwing it to someone.
Because he's such a game bot. He like knows the game.
Yeah, I do think Daniel is at least making top 4 at this point. That's where
I think so.
So, yeah, it's down to Kuzi and Claudia. Didn't know what was going to happen here, but ultimately Kuzi buzzes in. Knew it is the new HOH, so she's the second person in this game that's been HOH twice.
I will say what's funny is the last few comps, Claudia made it super far, but just didn't win. Like,
yeah.
It's like, is she going to get a comp win, or is she always just going to come close?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Because, like, she was in the final 3 of the one tie one. She was in the final match with Shania for Veto, and then she was in the final 2 for this.
I feel like we've talked about some other show recently where that's happened. Like, someone got really close to winning and then didn't. I can't think of what it was, though. It might have been Survivor.
Maybe. I think so. And also, we're here for Kuzi winning another HOH.
That's what it was. It was Cassidy in Survivor 43, like always coming in second and then finally getting that win.
Oh, yeah.
So, I guess Claudia's the Cassidy of Big Brother Canada 11.
No.
But not as good as Cassidy.
Love Claudia, but Cassidy is so good.
Oh, yeah.
But we stand Kuzi getting the second HOH, and I will say, I think if Claudia won, I think it was game over for her.
Yeah,
because I mean, I could see her maybe going for tie, or maybe like doing or maybe as like a replacement nom. But I don't see her having tie as an initial nom.
I don't know if she would have taken the shot. I feel like Claudia is someone who is
I don't know. I mean, if she'd really talked to like Renee and Shania, maybe she could have.
The problem with Claudia is that I feel like, I've said, like, anytime Ty is vulnerable in the game, she ends up getting closer to him. And I feel like that would have happened yet again. Like, he would have gone to her, would have been like, let's move past this. And then she would have just gone back in with him. So I think it would have been a terrible HOH week. And I think we could have seen someone like a Kuzi go.
It would have been interesting, but Claudia's just kind of weak.
She really is. She's not really as strong of a
player.
Because,
Renee and Shania are more like the brains of that trio.
Yeah, I would say so too. With Renee definitely being like the figurehead of that, like the person keeping them all together.
And then I think for comps, it's definitely Shania. But, I mean, Claudia's obviously good at comps, but she hasn't won one yet.
Yeah. The way I see things going right now with Kuzi now being HOH, I do think she's going to put up one of the girly pops and probably tie. Because I don't
know why I don't see her going. I mean, maybe Renee, but I could also see her going for maybe Shania because of what
I think it's Shania.
Maybe, Shania tie kind of thing.
I think based on what happened, she's going to be most angry at Shania, and she's going to think it's her time to go.
Or I could see her putting up like Ty and Claudia.
That would be interesting too. But I think Kuzi is in a spot now where, she doesn't have many options, and she's going to obviously want to keep Hope safe. So I do think it's going to be one of the girly pops and Ty. And I think Ty probably is going to go this week, but we'll have to see.
I think so too. And then there's also one more moment left in that rest.
Yes. Yes, we do get an announcement here that there's going to be a new twist known as the Fatal Feast, which is basically an instant eviction. So we're going to have an eviction on Tuesday, which
I assume it's an instant, but we'll see. Because
I don't know. Apparently, it has something to do. Apparently,
did you say the eviction's technically tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, if there's no veto, then if it's just instant, who's she gonna do?
I don't know what's gonna happen there. Like, I think she's probably just gonna go with her gut and put up like Shania and Ty, and then Ty goes. But we'll see.
I can see that.
Yeah, I don't really know what
unless
this is gonna be.
Unless Kuzi just like picks somebody and she evicts them.
I assume they're doing this because of like the extra week, because of all the quits, and like they're trying to like rush the season. But someone did point out this was hinted at earlier in the season. It's just been a long time and we haven't heard of it. So
it'll be interesting.
I'm wondering who found this, because apparently it was like in a book and it was like something that somebody had to find. So I'm wondering, was this like Santina's power that she found? Like, what was this really all about? I'm not really sure. I don't think Santina's going this week. I think she's.
I don't think Santina, and I also kind of don't see Renee going, because I don't think Kuzi is going to waste it on her.
No, I mean, I think Anika's going to try to push for Santina, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I will say, though, like, I do think Renee definitely does have to make some damage control with her, though.
Yeah, Renee is not in the greatest spot. I do think out of the three of the girly pops, like, she has the potential to make it the farthest.
Who, Renee?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because I feel like Shania right now, with what she did, like, she's going to go, like, in the next 2 weeks. And I think
can see that.
One after. But we'll have to see. We'll really have to see what ends up happening here. But for this, we are sorry, go ahead. As expected, because we are, like we usually do with like double evictions and things like that, we are going to be reacting to this episode live on Tuesday. So look forward to that. I'm not sure what exactly this is going to be, but we have an eviction. So obviously we're going to do a podcast for it. And I'm interested in seeing what really ends up coming of this. Are we going to get like, a really big robbery, or is it just going to be like a Shania? I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But other than that, I mean, anything else we need to plug? Oh, yeah. Look forward to our coverage of Survivor 44. That's ongoing.
Yeah, I think we're going to cover Survivor on Monday.
Yeah, most likely. Well, we can't do it.
But we also haven't watched the episode yet, just because we've been watching other stuff. But we'll probably just watch it.
I've heard nothing but terrible things about this episode, so we'll have to see.
Since we like both work this weekend too, like we're probably just gonna watch the episode over the weekend and then just and write the notes and then just do the podcast on Monday.
Yeah. But
also if anybody wants to be on, obviously we don't have any viewers right now because people are probably busy and stuff. But hopefully if anyone wants to be a guest, just hit us up.
Yeah, definitely. But that's it for this video. Very much looking forward to seeing how this next eviction plays out. I hate that Kuzi is HOH only for like a minute.
I know.
If this is an instant eviction, it kind of sucks. But I don't think she's in a spot to where she's going to go next. Like I've seen people say this could be. I've seen people say this is going to turn out to be like a Shima. I don't see that happening. I think Kuzi's a much stronger and more level-headed player than that, to where this isn't going to be like a Shima where she like, is in danger. So but that's it for this video. Hope you guys
But I'm just happy she at least got another HOH win.
Oh yeah, definitely. Gonna be very interesting to see what happens the rest of this this week and the rest of the season for sure. Gonna be very interesting to see how it all plays out. What the fuck?
What?
There was like an air horn outside.
Oh, that's funny.
It like scared the shit out of me. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember, couples who podcast together, stay together. See you guys later.
Have a good night. Love you guys.